Hey there, welcome back to Video Game Club Podcast, Episode 2. This week's game is called Mages of Mystralia. It's a top-down wizarding game centered around building your own spells and using them to conquer puzzles and boss battles. Thanks for tuning in, and without further ado, the podcast. So, the game that we're talking about today is Mages of Mystralia. It is a sort of top-down mage game.
Kind of like a mage game shooter, not shooter, but like
its central premise is crafting spells.
Crafting.
Yeah, I suppose you could say crafting, because you have a whole like spell
sort
book
of
where you like make new copies of the spell.
Yeah.
You can swap between them at any time. So the central premise of this game is you're crafting spells and you're basically using them to progress through various puzzles while fighting enemies along the way.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, first thing I want to say is that the crafting of said spells is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like the premise of the game. So when you look at the game, it the install like symbol or the little icon for it is a circle, a black circle with let's see here, 7 hexagons or like other circles inside that connect. And so it sort of plays on that hexagonal structure where some of them have arrows, and if they point to each other, they will connect. And that's how you sort of craft your spells. There are puzzles in the game where you can get behind like doors through that sort of puzzle. It's like a small mini game.
It's actually like pretty fun mini game, pretty good puzzle.
Yeah, I mean honestly, it's one of those things where like if you made a whole mobile app of just that, people would play it. I'm sure people have that. That
it probably
exists. Yeah,
but if not, can we get on that?
Yeah, let's make that immediately. But yeah, I mean, it's a really simple game. The story is very basic. We can talk about that a little bit later. The character is like, I don't want to like say anything bad about her, but she's exactly the character that you would expect in this kind of a story, basically.
Yeah.
So to like go through the story that you find out in the first like 2 minutes is, oops, you burned down your house because you're a mage and you didn't know. You get kicked out of your town by the town, and then like you get found by your mentor who comes in and teaches you literally nothing.
Who is also named Mentor.
Yes. For some reason. And then you find out.
Teach you a darn thing.
Yeah, no, he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Haven.
Go do this.
Let's go
do that, and it's like, okay, well, you gonna teach me anything? No.
Well, and it was awkward too, right? So like, you get kicked out of your town, and then you go to another house, and then like it sort of cuts, and then it opens back up, and the thing that you're thinking is, oh, this is a time jump, right? Like, oh, you are being time jumped, and you
spent like
X number of years training,
like 6 months or something training with this mentor, and you're ready to be a mage now.
Right. And so
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, no, that's not correct. That's like
no. It's literally he gave you some robes and a staff.
Yeah, that cut was you getting dressed.
20 minutes later.
It was that was the most jarring thing.
Go do this. Go to Haven.
And then like you get to this mage central, and they're like, all right, so you're a mage. Congratulations.
Go
you need to go embark on you need to go embark on a like small quest in order to like come into your magehood. And in doing so, you accidentally upon a book full of magic, and like, congratulations, you're now a mage. Like, it's the most like simple, like MacGuffin filled story plot that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's going on. Like, there's no like, who cares, right? You find out that like being a mage further down the line means a lot of things to a lot of people because
Yeah.
you know, historically mages basically oppressed a lot of people in the land, and so they sort of try to keep the mage population in check. You're not really liked as a mage, and thus, like, anytime you go into a town, you basically have to like put your book away and your wand like in your pocket because
like it's like feared slash
disliked.
Disliked in general.
Yeah, and so but I mean, like, honestly, that you could actually say that that's a good thing because it adds a sort of depth to the game where, like, my primary mode of getting around was literally pressing the little like wind dash button.
Oh, the dash, yeah.
Whenever I got it.
Same.
And you can't do that in the towns.
No,
right?
you really can't.
You can't make ice over any like river. You can't do any of this stuff.
Once you're within the town limits, you're like, you have to figure this out on your own.
Correct.
With your hands.
Yep, exactly. And that especially shows prominence. I wish they had done this more, to be honest. But it especially shows prominence whenever you have to like figure out what to do and where to go in the like big city.
Oh yeah,
because there's a whole portion that like you have to find the sort of dungeon without magic, which is kind of neat, honestly. I really that was one part that I thought was like really solid.
Yeah.
Out of the entire game, I suppose I could say that is the most solid, was that like portion. Good things I can say about the game is, like you said, basically the
spells are
the spell like, crafting. You can get really creative with it.
You can get really creative. I didn't all that much, but like eventually, when I got a few more runes from some of the like side puzzles, it got to the point where it would like basically consume my entire mana bar.
Yeah, I did
because
not
like
get
it was like
explosive.
I chained together so many of the like triggers. And like I would use my Emedi, which is like the main attack. And it would trigger, and I would have it trigger my Actus, which is the like fireball.
Right.
And then my Actus had a trigger on it that was on impact. It would activate my Emedi.
Oh, so it was just like this infinite feedback.
So it was
loop.
like almost an infinite loop of that. But I mean, of course, until I ran out of mana, because it would consume mana upon each trigger.
Yeah.
As well as like using the spell in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I did not do that because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really look for extra side things to do. I just blitzed through this game.
I mean, I didn't either. It kind of just happened upon them most of the time. It's like, oh, there's a portal here. You go in it, and it's like, okay, this is a puzzle. Figure it out. And I'm like, all right, I like doing those.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the puzzles, I didn't really do them. I should have.
And if it was like something I couldn't do immediately, you talk to the like green statue looking thing. Well, and it's like, you don't have the correct runes to do this, and I'm like, okay, then I leave.
So actually, okay, this is actually something that I'm gonna put in the dislike category before we even get there. These little green hint things and currency in general, okay? I genuinely thought that it was going to be, you were going to need this green currency for stuff. Like, I thought that you were going to be like, you were going to get to a town and you're going to be able to buy some wands, you're going to be able to buy some runes, you're going to be able to do some, like, eventually a shop will open up in Haven, something like that. Never happened. Never happened. And I was like,
the most you could do with it was, I think in the like mid game, the lady that you save at the beginning, from the goblins. Eventually, she sells a scarab.
Oh, really? Was this
which
after like you give her like 4 sacks of items?
her 4 sacks.
I never found the 4th one, so
yeah, she sells a scarab, which is it's like a one-time use that saves you from death.
Oh, well, that's stupid because I died a lot this game.
Yeah,
which I guess I should
kind of.
Go ahead.
I mean, it was useful. I got one from not her.
Oh,
and there was a different guy selling it, and yeah, whatever. And I used it, and I used it at the fireplace.
Okay.
Because fire over time is, ouch.
Yeah.
Now, but yeah, and then I just never bought another one, and I kind of regret it because I had a little bit of difficulty on the end boss.
Well,
but yeah, like otherwise,
it's worth mentioning that we played on different difficulties. You played on the like quote story difficulty, I guess you could say. And then I played on the one just up from that, just the mage difficulty. Against my better judgment.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem like there was like a normal difficulty like most games have.
No, it didn't.
Like there's an easy, normal, or like hard, or then there would be a 4th like impossible difficulty.
Yeah.
A lot of games have that, but this one didn't. It was either like easy, hard, or 1 life. And I'm like, I'm not about to do 1 life.
And so, okay, so like
the fucking rabbits would kill me too many times.
Oh, really? I had no problems with the rabbits.
Every time I was just dashing through an area, I would accidentally run into a rabbit, and then, oh man.
And then the entire area would come swarming at you.
Yeah,
fantastic. Right? So I don't know what your game looked like, but there were times where like I just couldn't fight. There, like in a game where your area of effect capabilities were very, very like non-existent basically until towards the end. You were faced with like 6 to 8 enemies, and they would just kill you if you stopped to hit them.
I mean, I had a few times where there was that, but not all whole game.
Well, and like the first boss, the reason why I died was because I didn't notice that these skeletons were just wailing on me, right?
Oh,
and they took me down to like 3, but like I killed 2, and I killed 2, and the other one was just like wailing on me while my cursor was targeting the boss, and I lost like half my health from that. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like it's that kind of a game then. Okay, I get it. You need to like make sure that everything is gone before you fight the boss or like any of the big enemies. And then there are like, I don't know, did you have like the bigger goblins that threw the stunning spears or like exploded the ground?
I had the ones that were riding like hogs or something.
No, these were just running.
Oh, really?
No, you didn't have any of the bigger enemies?
No.
Oh, okay. So
the spears though.
So they
weren't big.
Bigger versions of the basic enemies that will knock you to the ground if you get hit by anything.
Yeah, that sounds.
And it was miserable because they swing faster than you and they run as fast as you, so you can't kite them. You can't. You can block their attacks with the shield, but like you cannot interrupt anything you're doing with a shield. So
yeah,
you just have to like wail on them and hope you win.
Another thing I want to add to the combat like that was once you do get knocked down, your get up time is so long where it's like they've already hit you several times before you can get up, and then they would just knock you down again.
Yeah.
That was my experience a few times.
Adding to that, additionally, the fact that the dash has collision as to be a sort of combat maneuver, which it was. I turned it into something that killed people. It was ridiculous because if I am in a combat game, like if I'm in a game and I'm in combat, I want to be able to use my dash to leave the area, right?
Yeah, that considering also the shield does not block everything.
No, it's just one way.
It's all no, I mean, like it'll block projectiles and like small enemies attacks, but if you try to use it against the like big boss goblin,
Oh yeah, anything
yeah, it
boss?
doesn't
No,
work
you just lose. You just get hit and
because
die.
you just get hit and you have to dodge or run.
Yeah, and like even the boss, the end boss, his fireballs, you couldn't block them.
No, you couldn't. I noticed that too, and that's what kept getting me.
Yeah, so like there were a lot of really inconsistent mechanics.
And also, it was even worse
Quite
because
annoying.
he aimbotted you.
Yeah, there were ways you could get around, but
I mean, barely, but he still aimbotted you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I
Combat
really
was a little.
I really don't have anything good to say about the combat in this game.
I mean, it was. I feel like it was like the spells were hindered, like the spell system was hindered by the combat.
Yes, I can agree with that. I
'Cause,
feel like they put a lot of attention into coming up with a way to make cool spells, but not a whole lot of time into like gelling all of these spells and abilities together to make the game flow and feel fun to play.
Yeah. Another thing about that was, if you noticed, the more like additions you added to a spell made it cost more mana. So like as I told you, the spell I had before that like chained different like the spells together like that, it ate my mana bar, and the mana regen was not enough. Like I got mana back so slowly.
I think there was a way that you could increase it.
Yeah, you can increase your max mana, but not your mana regen.
The other thing that I wanted to gripe on in regards to the game was the way you healed was so frustrating, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
No way to like self heal. No,
there was no way to self heal. There was no like potion.
You had to find pots.
Yeah. There were.
I mean, the closest thing I found was the scarab, but
yeah, but that's like every item in this game was one use. The mana heal.
I'm pretty sure the mana heal. I got that, and I hadn't used it for a long time, and every time I would be like low on mana, I'd be like, use your mana thing, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try this once, and then
it was gone.
Used it up, and it was gone. I'm like, okay, well, what was the point of that?
Yeah, you're like, I use this on nothing. Why? What?
Because supposedly you get those from those like flowers you're supposed to find.
Yeah,
I never
you
found
get
all the
like
flowers.
I think I found 4 out of 5 or like 3 out of 4. I was 1 short.
I think I was 2 short.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to find 4 because he already had one in his garden. So I found 3, and I was short, and I never found the last one.
I'm gonna be honest.
I found them, but I didn't pick them up because I couldn't figure out how to get to them.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. If you're a game maker and you want to make a game where that relies on like mana and mana consumption and combat, do not make your items single use. Okay, if you're adding in a management like to the game, you need to be able to like have a place to go to restore them.
To store, yeah.
Like you go and you sleep at the inn. There was I don't know if you ever found this building, but it was the only building you could go into in the town. Okay, it was a like a bar or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing in there.
Nothing.
I don't know if there was something in there at some point that I missed.
There's like 2 little squares, like pressure plates that was part of a puzzle, but
oh yeah, you could probably have like made a little decoy once you got that ability. Never remembered or cared about it.
Nope. You got, I think it was a purple
probably little soul gem.
Oh, actually no, I think it was no, it was I think you get the left rune.
Oh, yeah, no.
From that.
That's funny, because, yeah, I never used that outside of, like, the one the one time you needed a
'Cause
right rune, and then I just never touched it again.
just never touch that again because you're like, when am I ever gonna need to like use this in a combat scenario?
Yeah, I definitely want all of my attacks to miss. That's a great plan.
Yeah, and then you just stick homing on everything.
Yeah, I never got that either.
Oh, what? Oh, rip.
I was even gonna bring up the inconsistent targeting system, but to know or find out that there is a homing room that I never found is it's just icing on the top of the cake.
It's just
sad.
Boy. Oh man. It's even funnier that when you get the duplicate on the fireball, it shoots 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the homing.
The
middle one homes in, and sometimes the 2 on the outside would miss and just orbit.
Fantastic.
That's fun.
Fantastic.
I mean, most of the time the 3 would home in like into them, but sometimes they would just miss and orbit, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I guess that kind of. I don't know if there's any.
You didn't find that. That's
and you know what? Honestly, who knows if it was a difficulty thing? If they like made some puzzles less difficult, or they added like some runes in different places for you and then for me, I don't know. You know, I will never know. I'm never playing this game again. But like, that kind of lets you in on my personal opinions on this particular title. But yeah, I'm probably not picking this up again.
No,
to replay it.
It was fun as a one-time game.
Yeah.
But some places were a little bit annoying. Some places were very, very easy.
Well, yeah, for you, I have a completely different experience where there were some places that were like, okay, and there were some places that were so maddeningly difficult, and not because of like fun difficulty, but because like, here's 18 enemies, die please, they said basically. And like, I didn't get what? That many. For instance, there was a tent, like right before, I want to say it's like right before the castle town, right?
Oh yeah, in the Highlands.
Yeah, in the Highlands, and then you go and you get
the guy's pitchfork.
The guy's pitchfork, and so you go in there. How many enemies spawned for you?
I don't even remember, but it was like the 3 that were doing the game, and then like 4 others maybe.
Okay, do you remember how many barrels were in there?
A lot of barrels.
Yeah, every single one of those was an enemy.
Oof.
They broke open and they became an enemy. And I said, how am I supposed to deal with this? Do you know how I ended up dealing with it?
I would think the explosion rune.
No. The mastery rune on the ice, you know how you make ice and like you go over those platforms? They make little like AoE ice platforms. If you put mastery on that, it hits everyone with a little bit of damage and freezes them. So,
oh, I didn't use the water mastery at all.
I literally just spammed this was on my like 6th or 7th attempt. I spammed this freaking ice thing and just froze them all until they died, and I ran out of mana. And then I ran around until my mana came back, and I did some stuff and killed the enemies. Like that. And then there's a second one of those. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. You
Guess
get like
what?
a piece of metal that I don't even know what you use it for.
Oh, I did the whole quest line, but never finished it because it would have taken too much, like, gone out of my way too much, and I was on a time crunch.
I just didn't know what the metal was for.
It's to like remake a pitchfork, another one. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that one was a whole lot more enemies for sure.
Was there a the there first
was a big
boss?
One, yeah.
Yeah. There was one of those in there. One. Yeah, and the number of times that I literally just got frozen in the corner was astronomical. Like, you just get stuck in the corner, You can't dash out. They're stunning you.
Nope.
You get up, you get stunned, and then you die. That's it. That's the game.
Yep.
So I had to make a spell that was a dash, but every time I impacted with somebody, it did an explosion, and then at my dash point, it made a decoy. So they attacked the decoy, and I dashed into somebody, and then it made an explosion, and I just kept doing that until some people died. And then, like, yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's I guess that's what they kind of wanted for the game, huh? Was
I don't know.
like to make a spell for certain situations?
Yeah, I guess you could say that that's like a good thing.
I guess it is, but like I don't know if the combat was a little bit better.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
a
like,
much better thing. But I see it though. I see where you would be like, okay, well, I'm in this situation that kind of sucks. What can I do with these things that I have to make it a little bit better or to do it differently, you know?
yeah.
So
Another like sort of like, okay. Yes, on everything that you're saying. However, the fact that like if I am going through beating minimal, because every time I went to a new portal and I like looked at the little green thing and I said, it's a you don't have the correct runes to beat this. I just left.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I was like, I'm not even gonna try this. I never returned though.
Yeah, I didn't really either because you know, I mean, I never remembered where there is. It was kind of an insufficient map.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. There wasn't really a map. It was just a list of areas you've been.
A list of areas. You just had to remember.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so like,
and I just kind of like came upon these places, and it's like, tried it, and if it said I didn't have the runes for it, I just didn't do it. And left.
Yeah. And I don't think that's not really a way to make a game. You know. I don't think that's this game came out recently. You could have taken from a game that we've all played probably called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There are tons of tiny dungeons, tiny puzzles in that game, right?
Yeah.
You could take inspiration from that and find out, hey, guess what?
Just like
you can do every single one of them as long as you get there.
Just you know? Even just like a map where you can mark. That's it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because like yeah, you may not have those runes at the moment, but there's an ability to get them later and an ability to do this eventually if you can remember where it's at.
Yeah.
Great. You can come back to it.
Yeah.
That's literally all it would have needed.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more gripes with this game. This is one of the few games that like I have a lot of patience. I've played Dead by Daylight for 3,000 hours and I've been relatively calm the entire time. This is the first game that I've played in a long time that made me like scream with rage because of how janky it was sometimes. Where sometimes you shoot a fireball and it'll hit the ground and you're like, oh
yeah, okay. I had that too, and it's like some just weird like collision.
If you were using the mouse and keyboard?
Not the whole time. I used the controller too.
So it was probably a lot easier with the mouse and keyboard, but like
a little. Like you could actually point to where you wanted, but it still had the same janky collision.
I was gonna say with the mouse and keyboard it was probably easier, but with the controller, yeah, sometimes you just didn't shoot it in the place it should have gone. Sometimes you just shot at some random place and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that happened.
And so like it was a lot of times where I'm like, I should have won, but I lost and I died because some part of the game just refused to function properly. And so better luck next time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that is it's not a very ringing endorsement, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this game supposedly has a 4.4 stars on the Epic. Also,
Yeah.
it says great boss battles, but
Well,
I mean,
let's talk about that. I'd
yeah.
say
Well,
that
that's
the
what I wanted
highlight
to
of this
get
game,
into next was
the highlight of
boss.
this game were the boss battles.
Yeah.
After a while, I realized that I didn't need to fight any enemies, like basically ever.
No, there's no like level up system. You
Yeah.
don't need to fight the enemies.
It took
Just
me
leave,
until like
just walk away.
the end of the game, basically. You don't need any of the currency that they drop for anything.
The only time I used like a substantial amount of that currency was I actually found a guy in the Rise, which sold me
a fire
the
wand.
best wand in the game.
The fire wand. Yeah, the best wand in the game. You don't need anything else.
300 for 300 thing. I mean, I got a few other wands later.
Never used them.
Like, one of them was a wand of Gaia, which was like, oh, it increased your earth magic like damage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's just the fire wand.
When am I ever
earth.
gonna damage people with earth?
Yeah, no.
Because that was like literally the spell for that was shield and dash
until the end of the game.
Great.
So, but yeah, okay. So let's talk about boss battles.
Real quick, I got another one that was the like air one, and it was like increases attack speed of it and not the damage. And it was like, okay, well that's useless.
Pretty much.
But yeah, the fire one.
So, my favorite boss battle, I think, in this whole game was in the fire dungeon.
Yeah?
Yeah. That was the only boss that gave me any trouble.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of trouble.
Well, and the fact that it was basically like
because I mistimed everything.
And the other thing was like it was like, here's how you beat me. I'm going to be very clear about this. And it was like, okay, that's how you do it. And as long as you execute it, boom, done, easy.
Yeah, I think my favorite boss had to have either been Twigs or the like ghost.
The ghost woman, yeah, the ghosts like chess game. Yeah, that one was like
good.
Second, I have to say.
Twigs was kind of easy, but
yeah, I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's like, but the only thing with him was like he wasn't necessarily very like he didn't really challenge you. No, I just died because I wasn't paying attention the first time.
Yeah.
So
another boss I want to note though is also the slimes, the royal slimes in the quarry.
Oh, those are the worst boss ever invented.
Really?
Yeah. I died on those so many times.
Really?
I think I was just doing it wrong. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think you were. You had to knock out the like queen because she was shielding the king slime. And then you just wail on the king slime while she's.
Did you have homing by this point?
Yes.
Yeah, homing, no, I didn't. Guess what? She just dodges.
The homing was like so near the beginning. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So they.
This was also at the point
frustration.
Where I figured out my like chain, and it did like a ton of damage.
Yeah. So like the fact that it's like, okay, here we're gonna basically acknowledge that our game is broken in some way by adding in a rune that fixes our problem and give it to you at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So like obviously there's something about this game that I could have probably played better. I'm not going to be like one of those people that's going to say like this game sucked because I had a hard time playing it. No, I'm going to say that this game sucked because it played poorly.
Yeah.
If I were to be as succinct as possible, yeah, it didn't play very well. The story was extremely simplistic and predictable.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I know I was playing on the easiest difficulty, but it was very easy in some places.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I will say my favorite area was the mines.
Yeah.
But that's because I
Reflect puzzles are neat.
I also just really like light puzzles.
Yeah.
Like reflecting puzzles. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and character design wasn't anything special. Everybody just looked like people.
Yeah, nothing too.
There wasn't any
like, stand out.
Boss or not boss, but enemy design. Like, it was just different element varieties of every enemy of goblin.
Yeah,
you know, even the time whenever the like villagers were after you, you didn't really.
Oh God, the villagers, the like soldiers.
They didn't do anything special either.
Well, did you get to the ones that like threw nets on you?
Yeah, you just walk out of the way. I don't understand.
I got hit by the net every time.
Oh my God, Tim.
But it was like another thing was where it was like once you got a net thrown on you, you mashed the button to get out of it, and there was already another net being thrown on top.
Oh, so if you got hit by the net once, it was just over for you.
It was just over, yeah.
Yeah.
It was no bueno. Also those soldiers didn't take like stun.
Oh.
If you know what I mean, like when you.
Oh yeah, they didn't have any stagger.
They didn't have any stagger.
Yeah.
They just stood there and they just hit you.
Yeah.
And they stunned you.
Well, if you do you have any final comments? Anything else you would like to note before we get out of here?
I would say this game rates a maybe 5 or 6 out of 10.
Really? All right. I would say that this game rates like at best a 3 out of 10. At best for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it played similar to Magicka, I guess.
It was an okay game.
It plays similar to Magicka without the polish of the magic system, and like this game's magic system is the only thing good that it has going for it. So
the magic system.
It really didn't have anything.
A lot of the puzzles, as we said, the like rune puzzles or the like hexagonal puzzles were good.
But yeah, so 3 out of 10 for me.
So yeah, that's probably what bumped it up for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm meh. You'll find out as this series goes along that like unless the puzzles in the game are like it's a puzzle game, I'm not gonna really rate any higher or lower depending on the puzzles. I just don't really care about them too much. What I care about is like if you're a combat game, how good is your combat?
Yeah, I know you're not a puzzle person. So yeah, that's all I've got.
All right.
I mean, I guess what I'll add real quick was the end boss. As I said, I had a lot of trouble with it. The first phase I struggled with his aimbotting.
Yeah.
Finally got through that, and then found out there was a enemy gauntlet that you had to go through.
Yeah, that was
fun.
I
did that several times.
Yeah, same.
And I was on the easy difficulty, and then did the final phase first try.
Good. All right. So, well, that about wraps it up. Mages of Mystralia. Yeah. Pick it up on Steam or the Epic Games Store. I believe it is $20. So I would not recommend this game. Would you recommend this game? If you like puzzles, maybe.
I guess if you like puzzles and if you want to play around with the magic system, yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a very simple game. Probably wouldn't.
If you got it for free from the Epic Games Store, like we did, by all means play this game. Otherwise, I don't think that it's worth the price point. And that's all I have to say about it.
Or if you're like a first-time gamer or something, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it.
Yep, that about does it.
Oh yeah, the next game
is going to be Saturnalia.
Yeah, it's a horror game, I believe. So that should be fun. It's
going to be fun for you because you don't like horror games.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, everyone. Thank you so much for listening.
All right. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Goodbye.